they now assign me as the second national investigator. I made contact with Dong through a third nation investigator who happened to be a nurse from a Swedish medical team that was doing volunteer work there. And she knew Dong. She also knew that Dong was a martial arts nut. And she's the one who got with Colonel Key and told him about the connection. So Colonel Key assigns me as the second nation investigator. And I go in and I find that Dong is indeed a martial arts nut. And I start working out with him, I get to know him, I get to know his family, and I find out that he is a very, very smart, academic individual with no political issues. I met his family, I met his friends, I arranged volleyball games, I arranged track meets and bicycle meets between him and the military and so on. I find he's a neutral party. He don't give a shit about politics. And so I write my letter. My letter negates the letter of the informant. The letter from the Swedish nurse negates the informant. And now I've got a new friend. And that friendship grows over about a 5-month period. And I end up, when I'm in town, I go down to Hawaii and I work out with him. And I get to know him and his family, and his wife starts corresponding with my wife. And your mom and Chow become, Tong Chow become friends by letters. And that's how it all got going. I negated wrote the letter negating his involvement in any kind of underhanded dealings. Then we get removed from the war to a personal relationship, and from that to a family relationship, which carries on for some 30-some years. And after 16 years of very close contact with him, he passes away, and suddenly we're back to good guys and bad guys because members of the family visited Vietnam, and suddenly I'm a bad guy.
Yeah, there's a lot of backstory to that and how that was triggered and so forth, and it's
Yeah, I don't know this the parties to it or any of that portion of it. I admire what the kids have done. I admire them as individuals. I don't admire many of the traits that they picked up from. Remember, during their most informative years, they had a very, very traumatic upbringing. So whatever their feelings towards me is given to a sociological cause. It doesn't affect me. I wasn't their friend, I was their father's friend.
right. I've come to feel kind of the same way. I was not my self-addressed. I've had someone speak to members of the family and stuff, and I was invited to stop by and visit through another party and so forth. I found that kind of weak, so I didn't bother with it. Life went on. It's not that tough a subject. I don't know.
It's uncomfortable to address.
Well, it would have been nice to carry on, but no, not really. I'm not uncomfortable with it at all. People formed opinions without much of my input, and that's fine. But I had a long talk with the leader of the style, and I understood points he made from his perspective, and I was good with that. Fact for me was, though, that you weren't welcome to come around. Now, I started martial arts all those years ago. As a kid, I had to go. When we got to the middle of the 70s, in my teen years, my mom said, and she was a real poet with her words, she said, "I wish one of you assholes would go ahead and learn what this old man has got, or it's going to die with him." And I thought, well, you spent the first years of my time racing motorcycles, and we did very well. We took a first in the state and a second in the nationals on a minicycle, and motorcycling has been a part of our life all the way, and it's a rich part of it, and I think it's one of the gifts life gave me. I love to ride a motorcycle now. My son does too, and I figured, with all that you laid down for me, I figured, well, I might not be all that nuts about martial arts, because at the time I really wasn't. I said, well, he invested in me that way, I'll invest in him the other way. And I literally showed up just to do that, because Mom said so. And along the way, you do something long enough, and you accidentally get good at it. And I came to enjoy it, and it came to be a huge part of my life, and then, eventually those reasons change shape. But really, the core is still there. I do what I do because I wanted to spend time with you. Even when you're not there, I have a long explanation, but even when you're not there, you still are. Because of the way I move and the things I do and the quotes that come out, and a lot of the stories that we're sharing now, I pass along too. And I kind of like that, because the era you came from, they began doing a lot better at recording history and so forth. But remember, in the martial arts, as we know, back when, the stories, those legends, sometimes exaggerations that we are somewhat affectionate about, that's how information traveled. That's how you pass things along. You took the stories and the things you saw and the things you felt, and you mixed them up and you passed them through the screen of your heart, and you handed them to your students and your people or your family or whatever, and that's the history that got passed along. And that does tend to exaggerate and color a little bit, which was maybe our original point to starting our talk here, if I remember. 3 hours ago, too. But relationship with those folks, it just went where it went. I won't even say it's regrettable. The fun never stopped for me. I still had you and the Matt and Eric. Eric and I are tight because of martial arts and the drawing that we do and stuff. No, I'm perfectly good. It didn't bother me. Because the core of what I was doing is still here. And that...
I regret the lack of better understanding developing over a 16-year period that I knew the family well.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the resentment that I felt, and still do, not pertaining to their family, but pertaining to the relationship between their family and their.
Yeah, it's a tough spot right there. That was, you have the best seat in the house for that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
The very day that she died was a tough one, and attended by some of the folks from Cunningham. And the excellence, or the nice thing that they were there for Mary, I'm not going to take anything from them or anything. I don't want to say anything ugly, but it did, it was, I've never sorted all that out, why that it's disappointing. I will not point the finger of blame at a couple of people that showed up to attend Mary's bedside. I thought that was excellent. But after all was said and done, and you were left in the condition you were left in, and you were pretty much, because of some controversies that seem to have taken more importance other than the fact that you were a hurting husband that could have been greatly aided by all of her closest friends, whereas left to sit at home by himself. That bothered me. I didn't appreciate that. Because their own personal feelings about things that you did that, quote, made them mad. Those things that made them mad apparently outweighed the fact that you lost a wife in Mary, probably your closest relationship I've known you to have. And I won't say anger, I will say disappointment that no one has ever mentioned, and no one has ever called me. I can't talk to your dad, or, you know, things just went so wrong, but I want to know how's he doing? How's he doing with this or that? I've gotten a few notes. Ricky Kay, she says to lean in and give you a hug here and there and stuff. And there's a couple few. George Maldonado he never lost touch. He's one of my lifelong friends. But out of a boasted 2,000 plus persons, many hundreds of which I have known over the years, I haven't been inundated with calls asking how you are after the loss of your wife. And it seemed to have all been trumped by the fact that you pissed a lot of people off doing some things. It shouldn't have added up to...
Well, some of the things, if you're referring to my sponsoring of Coangelo, I did that because I've covered that well within our interviews here and so forth. I believe the man had the right to start his own organization. I believe he had the right to expect backing from somebody that helped form his martial arts career. And I still feel that way. I still feel that the association itself is wrong in not giving him the backing that he richly deserves. The recognizing of him as the originator of a unique form of martial art is my prerogative, not theirs.
Right.
The underlying reasons for my popularity with him, or lack of popularity with him, I really don't understand.
I know the mechanism and the why, the stated why, and I saw it coming. But the why you were resented and why the way it went, I knew was going to happen. I mentioned it to you, and you gave me a reason. I said, I stand behind what you're doing. I believe in what you're saying. Personally, all the things I just said about Kung Nu and the family and so forth, I was willing. I thought for you and in what you were doing, it was the right thing for you to do. So I never had a problem with it. I didn't lose sleep. But I did tell you at a table, I said, I think you are going to get excommunicated from the Church of Kung Nu. And Mary was sitting right there with you at the time. Bob Evans. We were having eggs and so forth. But really,
Well, what was the reason behind it? That's what I don't understand.
personally, simply said, Colangelo Sensei was a controversial and not always well-liked figure. You helped him do something, which logically speaking, you helped him leave, which I thought would be appreciated. But, silly me, it wasn't. And there's always been a little bit of segregationist energy with the leadership. They like, now it's a rule that they don't have outside guests and so forth, and that was kind of, and that's fine. You run your own thing, that's great. But there are differences between Kung Nu and Nekuru Goshin Jitsu. Nekuru Goshin Jitsu does not have a body count cohesion that Kung Nu has. Admirable stuff, a wonderful group, campouts and the things they do, and it's fabulous. I think Kung Nu is they got a great thing going on. They're excellent folks, and there was a disagreement, and I don't go there anymore. That's it. Nekuru is something that I really like and appreciate even more, though. It insists that you go out and learn and do things and have adventures and come back and bring them back and share them with everyone else. It's also a decentralized system in that got a lot of people out there. A lot of them hung the Nekuru shingle up for a long time and then started their own styles. Mark wasn't the only one you supported. You supported several. And your word is globally. I mean, the Kodokan said if your signature's on there, they're cool with it. But to me, that's great. The way you support others in their complete freedom to express themselves as a leader of their own organization, or to pick something else and go do that completely and never really come back to Nekuru Goshin Jitsu or Judo, and fully support them and thus keep a friend for life anyway. That's where I'm at. That's what I like. It's what I appreciate. I encourage my people. I tell my folks, for instance, 4th degree and above, I have kind of a rule. I say, you're going to cook up your own recipes, I'm going to see them, and I'm going to see something and go, you know, that's pretty neat, and I did not teach you that. You must go beyond. It's a requirement. You will go beyond the things that I've presented. You will not do the things that I've presented like it's some sort of, you got to know this exact this and that, and it's a religion. No. When I come to your dojo, I'm going to see new, fresh things that I did not introduce. I'm handing you a paint set and some canvas. Do your pictures while I'm not there, and then let me see them.
Get some wrapping paper from the butcher shop. Or newspaper.
You want a window open, Dad?
Yeah, I was gonna open it up once the air comes through here, because Katie's boiling over there.